Well, a pleasant good morning to all you sports fans. I'm Reggie Roberts, longtime host of the PR Man and the Coach Talking Ball on the BallFather podcast presented by Sportskeeda. We got a really good show today, good special guest, guy who's outstanding person, outstanding player. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest host today. Our guest host is an American sports talk radio host. But before he embarked upon that career, he played college football at Michigan State, Go Sparty, and was selected in the 5th round of the 1988 NFL Draft by the Philadelphia Eagles. After 7 seasons with the Eagles, which included a Pro Bowl selection and an appearance in the 2004 NFC Championship game, our guest co-host today, played 2 seasons for the Atlanta Falcons. After leaving football in 2008, he began hosting the Ike at Night evenings on 610 WIP Sports Radio in Philadelphia. And in 2009, he became Howard Eskin's co-host in the 3 to 7 p.m. time slot, forming the afternoons with Howard Eskin and Ike Reese show, and became the Saturday night anchor for WPSG-TV in Philadelphia. In 2011, he was paired with Michael Barkin on the new 94 WIP to host the midday show, Ike and Ike, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And he currently is the co-host of the Marks and Reese show, John Marks WIP, which airs from 2 to 6 p.m. on weekdays. My co-host is a great dude. He's smart, he's introspective, and he's way, way cool. And I'm so proud to call him my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the great Ike Reese. What's up, man?
Wow, Reggie, I almost had to look around to figure out who you were talking about that was coming on the show, brother. Man, it's good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Hey, listen, great to see you. I tell people all the time, I was lucky to work in the league for, damn near 30 years. And I covered the league for 4 years, and then I was a PR person for 22 years at the club level. You meet a whole bunch of guys that you work with and guys that you like, but there's certain guys who have an impact on you. Warren Sapp was a guy I worked with. He had an impact for a lot of guys. His personality. There's a lot of guys that Todd McClure was one of my favorite guys for a lot of reasons for what he brought. But when you came to us, I think it was 2005.
2005.
We talked about this all the time. We always talked about guys what I call are connectors, guys who can connect the locker room, but also guys who can connect to the front office staff, which is very, very important. And you brought such energy and accountability and stand-upness, especially when we didn't play well. We didn't really have a really good team, but you were one of the guys. You and McClure and some other guys were always willing to sort of stand up and explain to the media, why we weren't playing well or what we needed to do to get started. And that never ever leaves me. It's the guy who was in charge of the PR message for the team. You always look for guys who weren't scared of the media and who were well-spoken, and you always fit that bill. I just want to tell you how much I appreciated you then and how much I appreciate you now.
No, in all honesty, Reg, I remember during those times, especially my second year down there when we were having some tough times, and we know it didn't end well. Always remember how you and Ted would tell me you appreciated how I handled being in those rough spots and being sort of a voice out of the locker room. Because when things aren't going well, you know how it is, Reggie. Guys start running from the microphone. They don't want to answer questions. They don't want to talk for multiple reasons, right? Some people can't necessarily articulate and connect with the fans and tell them what they want to hear to reassure them that we're doing everything we can to win football games, but at the same time being authentic and honest with them, but not throwing your teammates under the bus, not throwing your coaches under the bus. And some players would just rather not talk than have to get up there and try to juggle that. So I just felt like being raised in Philadelphia in the media, I had enough experience on how to handle that. So
yeah. And you did.
I felt comfortable with it.
What shows, you've turned that experience of being in Philadelphia and that pressure cooker with all the 4 teams there that are a huge sports town. You turned that into a second career. This is your 15th season at WIP?
15 years, brother. Yep.
incredible, man. That, I used to tell Sapp and those guys, they would all tell, I'm not working in the media. And see, here's the part, you and I have talked about this. I'd go to the league meetings and I'd go to the PR meetings and the broadcast meetings from an executive administrative perspective. And the league was always really good at showing us what's coming down the pike. What opportunities were coming down the pike. For example, the internet and NFL Network and streaming and all of these things that we talked about years and years ago that were coming down the pike. And the one thing that I would tell our guys, I'd say, hey man, listen, I don't know what your plan is when you get done playing. I said, but this broadcast media thing for the NFL and sports is going to be gigantic. There's going to be plenty of opportunity for you to start a second career, talking about the game or doing podcasts about the game. And, I don't think any of us sort of anticipated that it would blow up and be as big as it's become. Right. But I'm real proud to say that guys like you, guys like, John Lynch, guys like Derek Brooks, Zap, Keisha, Booker McFarland, those are all my guys. Those are all I kind of helped and kind of, guys would call me about, Reg, which of your guys, which of your guys are good media guys? All those guys turn their football careers into broadcast careers. And Lynch has gone on to be a GM.
Lynch is a GM. How about that?
Lynch is a GM now. Sapp had a little bit of a time. Keyshawn's got a national show on ESPN. You're a high national guy at WIP. So I'm excited for y'all, man. I'm excited for y'all. So let's get into this thing, man. Tell me how your Eagles gonna bounce back and what the hell happened the other night. What the hell happened? We go from not turning the ball over to turning the ball. What happened?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I admit I'm not surprised they played that type of game Monday night, and not because they're a bad football team. They are a very good football team, the best in the NFC. But Reg, it's hard to be at your best for 17 weeks, and yes, it's almost impossible. And so I kind of felt one of these games were coming up at some point. And now that I look back at it, it probably makes more sense that it was this game. I thought it would actually be either the Colts or Tennessee that we would get our first loss against. But if you look at it, Reg, the Eagles have played 2 games in 28 days because they played on Sunday night, then they had a bye week. They came back, they played on a Sunday, and then played on a Thursday. So then they had 11 days off again. So they really, I'm thinking back and I'm like, okay, well, maybe there's a little rust in there. They're a little choppy. People patting them on the back for the last month, telling them how great they were. You pair that with a Washington team that on paper you're not going to fear. So, and the fact that Washington is a feisty club with Heineke back there as a quarterback. It's a divisional opponent. They seen them for the second time.
You know them?
Yeah, so I'm not surprised that they lost the game, but even with all that, it still took for the Eagles to turn the ball over 3 times for them to really lose the game. So hopefully they can bounce back this week, man. I'm not discouraged by that loss. I'm actually happy they got it out of the way. So now we won't have to talk about are they going to go undefeated all season long, which we know that wasn't going to happen. Yeah, so I want to see how they respond to a loss. I want to see. You know how it is. It's easy to be, chesty and braggadocious when you win every week, and everybody feels good. Okay, well let's see how we respond after we lose a game, and see how many foxhole guys we got on this team. So I've loved the reaction and the responses from the players and the coaches this week. They seem to be locked in. I'm excited to see them Sunday. They should have a bounce back game against the Colts.
Okay. All right. I like that. Let me ask you this. Like I said, as we talked a little bit off air, I was a fan of Jalen Hurts when he was at Alabama. I was a fan of him when he was at Oklahoma, and I'm a fan now. I'm a fan for him because I think he's got a skill set that's a little bit different than the conventional quarterback. I think but everybody's different, okay? When Matt Ryan was with us in Atlanta, Matt Ryan was the prototype. He's 6'5", big, tall, from Chester, Pennsylvania. He's a Philly boy.
Quarterback, yeah.
Not gonna be not that mobile. Matt, big arm can throw that thing. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's what I think the average football fan is used to seeing in the NFL. But as the game has grown, as the college game has shifted, and as more, what I see in college football is that you got your best athlete playing quarterback on the field for a lot of college programs. And that trend's been kind of going on probably 10, 15 years, maybe, I don't think it's quite 20, but 10, 15 years, that's kind of been the trend. Your best athlete is playing quarterback, and they've run, and I think a lot of the coaches have sort of shifted and sort of adapted to what your skill set of the quarterback. I think Coach Sirianni is a great example of a guy who's adapted to the skill set and take advantage of the skill set that his quarterback has. So I'm gonna put it to you, Ike. I'm gonna ask you this, okay? I think Jalen got a lot of criticism. Again, I want to go back to what I said. I'm in my house after they beat somebody, and this guy basically starts talking about, well, I don't know if the way he plays is sustainable because I thought the service academy, I thought the Air Force was different. Okay, the service academies, when they play that option game that he was referring to, they might throw the ball. They might throw it twice a season.
Yeah. Seriously, yeah.
That's not what the Eagles offense is based on. This boy is throwing the ball 26, 28, 29 times a game, and he's completing passes at a high level. He's got all of them involved, and he's using his legs, and they're winning, and he's not turning it over. And it wasn't him. He didn't turn it. He threw one.
His fault. Yeah, exactly.
He threw one ball in the double coverage, okay, but the rest of the guys were dropping the ball on the turf.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What do the media in Philadelphia think about him, and do you think that he has a chance to be in the conversation for an MVP award this year?
Oh, no doubt about it. I'll answer that part first. Yeah, because that's the easy part to answer. Yeah, no doubt about it. He's in that MVP conversation. And for me, he should be, if not one, no worse than two. You can go back and forth between he, Mahomes, and Josh Allen, but I think Josh Allen has fallen off a little bit over the last couple of weeks. But right. Jalen is a guy that's right there at the forefront because he's the engine that drives this offense. And much like Lamar does in Baltimore, but even I think, Reggie, to a higher degree, because I think he throws the ball better than Lamar Jackson does.
I love
yes.
Lamar. Jalen is a much better passer than Lamar.
Yes.
He's a passer.
Yes, exactly. So he is truly he likes to call it a triple threat because he wants to incorporate the mental aspect of the game, which really is about his decision making. That's why I like him. Like he has grown on this fan base. I'll be honest with you, Reg, to get to your question about the media and their portrayal of him. I think they felt he was limited, and myself included, in what he could do. Only based off of the small sample size that we had saw him play the game. The way that he's come back this year, how much he's improved in his game, all those intangible things that we've heard about Jalen. He's a hard worker. He's a student of the game. The fact that he hadn't had the same offense to play in ever, so he had a different coordinator for the last 7 years, including high school, college, and the pros. He had never got the opportunity to play in an offense in consecutive seasons. So that can also stunt your growth. He has come back and surpassed what a lot of people thought he would be able to do. And I'll give the media credit here. They've embraced it. There is no caveats. There is no but this, but that. And the reason why I say they've embraced it, it's because they've covered this style of quarterback for years. So they know. They've seen Randall, they've seen Donovan, they've seen Michael, Mike Vick, exactly. And so in the past, they may have been reluctant to embrace that style of quarterback play. But if you think about the franchise's history, and no disrespect to Jaws, who's a good friend of mine, Ron Jaworski, and yeah, any of those guys that have played here prior to, that wasn't African American, they got the benefit of the doubt. But because there may have been some doubt casted on Randall, Donovan, and even Vic when he got here, and most of those people were proven wrong with the exception of winning a championship with those players, they've all had success here. So I say that to say with Jalen, they're a little more, you're a little more willing to embrace it because we're seeing it here and we're saying, wow, this kid may have the chance to be the best of all of them. Yeah, he might have a chance to be the best of all of them.
I fiercely defend him because I think, Randall paved the way and then Donovan with what he did. People forget Donovan was a really good, he went to 5, was it 5?
5 conference championship games. Yeah. Went to the Super Bowl, yeah.
That's hard to do. So okay, good with that. But let's talk a little bit about the coach. I mean, I like Sirianni. Even when he got hired, they were like, well, who is this guy? Nobody knows who he is. Who is this guy? Well, look, everybody starts at the bottom. Everybody has a first day. It's everybody's first day someplace. Everybody.
Yeah.
But what he's done with regards to the innovation and how he's coached him up, I mean, I've seen like week by week, it seems like they get a little bit better on offense. There's something new on offense. What's your thoughts of Coach Sirianni and what he's done, and specifically for him working with Jalen?
Oh man, have honestly grown to love the enthusiasm that Nick Sirianni has as a coach, the passion in which he coaches with, the fact that his players all seem to love him, which means he relates to them. He has the ability to communicate with the youth of today because he's a little bit of a younger coach, so he's not so rigid and structured where he's stuck in his ways because he's been doing it a certain way for 30 years. That's the other thing I love about today's coaches. A lot of them are more willing to embrace what today is about versus trying to force everybody into being what it used to be. And so I think Coach Sirianni has had the ability to always be open-minded to what Jalen can evolve into. So I say this to say, he hadn't coached a player like Jalen Hurts before. Most of his guys have been pocket guys. Even when you look at Jacoby Brissett, he's a pocket quarterback. He's a pocket quarterback. So yeah, these are the quarterbacks that Nick Sirianni has been around. And I'm going to throw Shane Steichen in there as well as the offensive coordinator. About midway through last year, Reg, because in the beginning, I thought they were trying to incorporate him or fit him into the offense which they brought here from Indianapolis. So they were throwing the ball a ton, and they were more, they weren't the type of throws that I thought would fit Jalen's skill set last year. But halfway through the year, they figured it out. They did a complete 180. They started leaning on the run game. But what I think they did that was so smart was they leaned on the run game, but they figured out a way to incorporate him into the passing game. And so last year we got to see a small sample size of it. And this year was going to be based, they challenged Jalen. I know this for a fact. They challenged Jalen this offseason to get better as a passer because they wanted to expand the offense. They wanted to be able to throw the ball. And to his credit, man, he came back this year with the ability to throw the ball down the field, with the ability to get through his progressions in the offense, and they've added and embraced this RPO to where he's the best in the league at doing it. Like, he's the best in the league at doing it. Nobody's better.
That run pass option, there's nobody better doing it, and that's why they're running it good. He's hitting 65, 70% of his passes. Before this game, he turned it over twice. Yeah,
they're not just short passes. He's throwing the ball down the field.
You know what? In some cities, they'd have built a statue for a guy who turned the ball over. They'd have had a parade. Are you kidding?
Right.
And yesterday, I think they got better this week. They added Linville Joseph. They added Ndamukong Suh. Those are they're veteran guys. They're veteran guys, but they're hard to move. And they're gonna help the defense. They're gonna help that defense.
And they're gonna bring a little nastiness.
Sue get off the bus pissed off. He get off the bus wanting to hurt somebody. And he get off the bus, man.
Yes. So I like that part of it. You bring a little nastiness to it.
Little nastiness. You need that, George. Hey, listen, you're on the PR man and the coach talking ball on the BallFather podcast presented by Sportskeeda. I'm here with my guest today, Ike Reese. We're talking a little bit about the Eagles. I'm gonna ask you one other question, then we're gonna switch to my, you won't believe this, but my favorite sport, Ike, is baseball. I don't know if I've ever told you.
Okay, it's all good. Yes, sir.
I'm a huge baseball guy, but my team is not your team. I'm not a big Phillies guy. I'm a Yankees guy. Big Yankees.
Yankees fan, yes. Was hoping to see those guys in the World Series. We didn't see them.
I know. I really think that something could happen in the NFC East that's never happened in football. I think for the first time, because of the 17-game season, I think all 4 teams from the East got a chance to make the playoffs. I really do. I think that there's a really good scenario that the Eagles, Giants, Cowboys, and the Commanders. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying that it could happen. I think without question, is the strongest division in football. What do you think? What do you think the reaction, both in Philly and nationally, would be if all 4 teams from the East made the playoffs?
Shock. Because first of all, the Giants and the Commanders prior to the season, I don't think most people would even have them close to the playoffs. Yeah. So the Giants have actually been playing real good football this year. You got to give Brian Daboll a lot of credit. If Nick Sirianni doesn't win Coach of the Year, Brian Daboll is probably going to win Coach of the Year. It was one of those guys. And then Washington, I'm a big fan of Ron Rivera. That's my former linebacker coach here in Philadelphia. So I whisper and say I'm a Ron Rivera fan because he's on a divisional team. So I certainly want to see him do well. But Washington, they're sort of that team that, you know what? Even if they don't make it, they're going to make it hard for some other teams to get in there because they're going to fight you tooth and nail all the way through and through. And I grew up when the NFC East, we were somewhere around the same age. The NFC East was almost the best division in football in the 80s and the 90s, right? And so we kind of fallen on a little bit of hard times. Used to be called, at one point they was calling it the NFC least, like the NFC least. So it's good to see all the teams, having some moderate success. But like you said, with a 17-game schedule, and it's really those, I think the top 3 teams have kind of separated themselves in the NFC. You throw the Vikings in there, but then there's about 6 teams that are right there with each other. And Washington is right there with Tampa, San Francisco, all those teams that they're right there with those teams. And I think they have an easier schedule.
They do.
Down the stretch.
That's why it gives this idea credibility, because I think, with the schedule and with who Washington has, it could happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying that it possibly could happen.
Here's the thing that could happen with Reg. Even if they don't make the playoffs, it may be for the first time ever, I'm sure somebody could find a record, that all 4 teams finish over 500.
No question. That could happen. They
all could finish over and win at least 9 games.
Right.